Halloween is upon us, and I thought, hey, let's talk about some spooky cartoons for this season. There are many bone-chilling and gruesome animations out there to choose from Tim Burton's classics like Corpse Bride and Nightmare Before Christmas, to Sony's Hotel Transylvania series, to even iconic Scooby-Doo episodes and movies. But this year, I want to look at something more obscure and something most people haven't heard of or even forgot about, and that comes from one of the grouchiest characters in animation, the Grouch. I mean the Grinch. Now you're probably thinking, Sturge, the Grinch is more associated with Christmas than Halloween. Just because he looks intimidating and scary doesn't mean he automatically falls into spooky territory here. And yes, you are correct in that sense. The Grinch has been a staple in the Christmas spectrum, with How the Grinch Stole Christmas being one of, if not the biggest property that Dr. Seuss has. I mean, the Grinch has already 3 different interpretations on his classic Christmas story, all ranging from traditional animation, 3D, and live action, all of which had their own little fan base. But oh my dear viewer, you must be mistaken. This isn't the only thing the Grinch has been tied to. Prior to the success of the book and the original cartoon in 1966, the Grinch has become one of Dr. Seuss's biggest characters, so of course he was going to make more appearances in the future. And that next appearance was in the 1977 Halloween special, Halloween Is Grinch Night. What a weird and obscure piece of animation. And the Grinch fits right into this holiday too. It makes sense for his cynical and grumpy behavior that he would take on Halloween as his next film. But wait a minute, the Grinch has a change of heart at the end of his Christmas special, getting along with the Who's and celebrating Christmas with him. Why is he back to his antagonistic ways? Well, this special is supposedly a prequel to How the Grinch Stole Christmas. So if you like the Grinch being mean-spirited and a scumbag the whole time, first off, what's wrong with you? And second, this is the perfect special for you then.
It was a mighty gorgeous sunset. It was truly a beautiful sight.
Okay, so right off the bat, we got a different narrator this time around. Boris Karloff, the original narrator and voice actor for the Grinch, has since been deceased and is now replaced by Hans Conrad, doing both narration and the Grinch's voice. And he sounds good here. I also forgot to mention how beautiful yet surreal this animation is. It really gives off that autumn feeling with the shades of yellow and orange. It makes the Who world we're living in more eerie and unnatural.
Always starts when that sour sweet wind begins a-howlin'.
Around this time, the atmosphere gets more gray as a huge storm starts to blow, causing these Seuss-like creatures to start howling and moaning. All of this causes the Grinch to come out of his cave and swears to wreak havoc across Whoville.
I suggest we stay indoors tonight. I suggest we lock ourselves in tight.
Oh yeah, there's a couple of songs in here as well, though I will have to say they're not quite as memorable or iconic as the ones in the Christmas special.
I wouldn't go out on a night like this for $1.50.
At least ask for $3.50.
I need about $3.50.
Now our main protagonist is this kid named Euchariah, a much lesser version of Cindy Lou Who from the original. He doesn't think the Grinch is a total threat, even with the cautiousness of his grandparents' wishes.
It's a wonderful night for eyebrows.
Now I gotta say, I do kind of vibe with the design of the Grinch here. A very different contrast than his Christmas counterpart. This Grinch is more resembled to his design in the books. Max, on the other hand, looks more like a depressed Pluto. Speaking of Max, he gets his own song in the special, with Henry Gibson singing it as his inner thoughts.
How many times have I said and said? How many times have I said in my head?
Okay, weird little song, but sure, why not? So the Grinch and Max get ready to scare Whoville and bring this giant wagon with them. We never really know what's inside this wagon until the 3rd act, so it does bring up some mystery and tension from the viewer.
Till finally Euchariah said,
Grandpa Josiah?
and Grandpa Josiah said,
Yes, Euchariah?
and Euchariah said,
Grandpa, we've stood and we've stood and stooding, just stooding.
Oh boy. So upon watching this for the first time, they really tried to extend this 20-minute special with so much filler. Conversations between Euchariah and his grandfather drag on. This weird weather forecaster has no right taking up this much screen time. Heck, even when we get back to the Grinch, he's wasting time tormenting this pink dildo for no reason. I feel like the writers have a clear description on how they want the plot to go, but feel the need to keep in some useless filler to get the story long enough to meet its runtime. Geez, it kinda reminds me of some YouTubers who need to meet the 8-minute requirement for monetization. So Euchariah, being the idiot that he is, decides that he needs to use the outhouse, even though his grandparents told him to stay inside.
Don't be long.
And oh, there he goes. Not really the brightest bulb you raised, huh, Josiah?
I need about $3.50.
Upon entering the forest, Euchariah sees the Grinch stuck up in a tree.
You know, sir, I like you much better with my glasses off.
You put your glasses back on and face the fact.
That's why I say to girls who compliment me. Upon hearing Grinch's plan to spook Whoville, our protagonist tries to stall by irritating him, causing the Grinch to open his wagon of spooks. And this is where we get to the most iconic segment in the special. Every scene in this segment is surreal and unnatural for Dr. Seuss's standards. That's what makes it a joy to watch. Every monster and spook is mesmerizing. There are so many strange and unusual creatures that can come off as scary and memorable. Some fit into the bewildered mindset, like how did the illustrators and animators think of these designs? I would not be surprised if some kids who grew up with the special got nightmares with some of these creatures. So Euchariah realizes that the wind has died down, causing the animals outside Whoville to calm down and forcing the Grinch to return back home. Which I never really fully understand. I mean, you can still terrorize the town. The storm dying out doesn't mean that you have to go back home. But hey, I respect the Grinch's morals and standards if this is the case. Also, Max decides to leave with Euchariah now, which, if this is the prequel to How the Grinch Stole Christmas, why is he back with the Grinch? I guess Euchariah is pretty abusive to his pets, huh?
But that wind will be coming back someday. I'll be coming back someday.
So that was Halloween Is Grinch Night, and it sure does exist. But I can't deny how surreal this animation is. Even if the story feels dragged out and the dialogue can be boring sometimes, the crisp and cold feeling of the special is what makes it stand out. Especially in the Spooks tour segment, that is really the highlight there. Apparently Dr. Seuss prefers this over the Christmas special, which is very surprising, but I do think the special does have a little something to offer, even with its few hiccups down the road. But what do you think? Did you like this cartoon? Did you grow up with the special? Do you actually prefer this to the original Christmas special? Let me know in the comments. I hope you enjoyed my little Halloween video in the time for the holidays. Like I said, I wanted to do something not a lot of people heard about or completely forgot about, so I hope this put a goofy pumpkin carving smile on your face.